Legacy. That's a good question. I hadn't thought about it. As I think over my life, I think, what are the really important things that have happened to me?
My name is Antonio Zavala. I was born here in the near Northside in 1942, so that makes me 76 years old. I have lived here the majority of my adult life. My parents lived in a ranch out in Fulshear, Texas, straight out of Westheimer, and I was born here, but they brought me here. My mother came here so she could have me at a hospital, so we came in, and they had me in 1942. And then we went back to the ranch, and my father's family were migrant workers. They worked the fields all the way from the valley, Brownsville, McAllen, Texas, all the way up to North Texas. So we lived all over the place. And in 1957, he decided to come to Houston. My sisters were growing up, and he wanted everybody to get a good education, so he brought us here to Houston, and we've been here ever since. When I first got here, I went to Marshall Junior High, and then later on I went to Davis. And that was in 1957 and 58. And 16 years old. And at that time, at Davis and Marshall, it was just 90% white and 10% Hispanic, brown people, and no black people at all. And then I moved on to Davis. It was the same thing. And it was so hard on the Mexican-American people here that they would not allow you to speak Spanish. If you said any words in Spanish and they caught you, they'd put you in a corner. It wasn't until later on, the 60s, 65 or 66, where they started allowing people to, the Hispanic people, to speak Spanish. And that's when they also started letting black people come to our school. Because, as you know, Highway 59 sort of divides the neighborhoods, black, brown, white. But this neighborhood was Italian people. And it was very hard for them to get along with the Mexican people, but the Mexican people started moving in 1955 to 1960. So when we got married, we came back from California, and we rented a house real close to here. And then we bought a house at 249 and Highway 45, the Mount Houston area. And then when we found this house, the man told me to my face, he said, "I do not like Mexicans, so I'm going to sell you my house and you can keep my dog." And he sold me the house so cheap, it was unbelievable. So I bought the house from him, and we renovated. We lived here for 47 years.
My name is Patricia Zavala. My parents are Ascension John Castillo and Eloise Castillo. Born 76 years ago, we lived in the Northline area, went to Burbank Elementary, Burbank Junior High, and we were the only Hispanic at Burbank Elementary until I was in the 5th grade. And then when I went to Burbank Junior High, that's where I met everybody. My dad worked for the railroad, so he moved us here when I was 14. It was getting kind of hard for him to be going to work every day and all the organizations that he belonged to, and so my mother said, "Find us a place." So we came to Lee Street, and that's where we went to Marshall. And in the meantime, when Tony and I got married, which was in 1962, they bought a house right there where my son lives on Hammock Street. My dad was for the people. He made sure that everybody had a Thanksgiving, the neighborhood, the community, Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner. he was out walking the streets, getting people registered for voter registration, and that's just what he did. And he belonged to a lot of organizations, and the people rewarded him by making that park named after him, and then submitted his name to be at the Northside corridor with his image there, along with other important people, and we're proud of that. The way they talk about him and my mother, that's the legacy they left behind of all the things they did.
My name's Sylvia Garza, and I was born in the Northside, and I love it, and I won't leave it. Right now, the home that I was raised in on Chapman, it's torn down. It's not there anymore. But I had such great memories right there in that corner. I loved it. I loved my childhood, even if it was hard for my mom. But going around the streets at night, being able to walk and play when I was smaller, I liked it. I enjoyed it. When I was 12 years old, I remember I was on the porch with my mom. She was on a porch swing, and I was flat on my back looking up to the sky. And I remember telling my mom, I was 12, mind you, Mom, when I get old and I get married, I wonder what my last name's gonna be. And I want a lot of children. I want a lot of children, Mom. And she told me in Spanish, "Estás loca. You're crazy. You're 12. How could you be thinking about things like that?" I go, "I don't know, Mom. I just feel that in my heart. I want my last name to be beautiful, and I want to have a lot of kids. That's what I want." The thing I'm most proud of with what I've done in my life are my children. They're everything to me. Sorry, I get emotional. I would give them my life. They're my world to this day. And now that I have my grandchildren, they're my life too.
My name is Petra Hinojosa, since everybody knows me as Petty, like petty cash without the cash. The whole street, Henry Street, Main and Quitman, we were the only set of twins. Que they could not tell us apart. And they always called us las cuatitas. Las cuatitas means little twins. So they was calling las cuatitas. Which one are you? And, Petty or Eva. So, but they could not tell us apart, so they just stayed las cuatitas. You don't understand las cuatitas, we're the twins, And so far, right now, my mom still lives in the same house, over 40 years. And a lot of people change, neighborhood change, they start moving out. And some they're still old friends. My mom's old neighbors still there. If they're not there, it's either their grandkids that we still see, the grandkids. It just changed a lot. The neighborhood has gave me that respect, that trust, that loving, caring neighborhood that you always have. It's another family that we just take care of each other, no matter what, good or bad.
Mi nombre es Ileana Garza de Reyes. Nací en la ciudad de Río Bravo, Tamaulipas, México, en febrero de 1965. En el año de 1992 escuchamos que había una oportunidad de trabajo en el distrito escolar de Houston, teniendo nada más como requisito que todos tuviéramos una carrera universitaria. Mis hermanos y yo todos nos vinimos en un grupo, incluyendo por supuesto a mi esposo. Entonces todos nos vinimos a trabajar al distrito escolar de Houston. A mí y a mi esposo nos ubicaron en el área norte, en el cual estoy sumamente orgullosa de pertenecer a esta comunidad. Incluso yo les di educación a mis hijos aquí en esta escuela que ya tengo desde que abrieron las puertas de la Escuela Herrera en el año de 1992. Hasta la fecha he trabajado solamente en esta escuela y como ya les comenté, yo les di educación a mis hijos aquí y ahora a mis nietos. Mis hijos pertenecen 100% a esta hermosa comunidad. Ellos también trabajan, ya incluso mi hijo, el mayor de los hombres, trabaja aquí en esta escuela Herrera y mi hija trabaja también para esta comunidad. Ahora las nuevas generaciones pues han crecido junto con mis hijos y yo veo que sigue existiendo entre ellos amistades que se convierten en familia y que siempre hemos y estamos apoyándonos los unos a los otros.
My name is Erlinda Treviño. I came to Houston, I would say in 1979, 78. Education for me and my family had been a top priority. You know, that's something that my mom and my dad always instilled in us, you know, to be, you know, good educators and to pursue a career so that someday we can pass on that to other generations. That there is nothing greater than the value of a good education. The way that I see how we work on different projects is for the betterment of the life of the people from this community. Always, when you find something, you know, try to leave it better than what it was when you came. When I was growing up, that's something I didn't tell you, I was a part of Girl Scout. And the Girl Scout promise back then, because now it's another one, is on my honor, I will try to do my best to help other people at all times and to obey the Girl Scout law. So my legacy will be always to help other people at all times.
My name is Maria Núñez. We lived in a little town east of El Paso. During the war, there was a lot of agriculture here. And all the men from here were at war with Hitler. So the American government told the Mexican government, hey, I need you people. I need somebody to work with the hands. And they used to hire them only for seasons. They would have to go to Chihuahua City and get, I imagine that's what the farmers called and asked. But there was this farmer that told my father, no, I need you here at all times. I don't need you here just a few months of the year. So that's how my father migrated here. My mother died when I was a little girl, and my father soon remarried. And his wife didn't want to hear about us because there was 6 of us. So my oldest sister took over as the mother of the family. And then when we got old enough, each kid went his own way. Some of them went to California, and my older sister came here to Houston, and I wanted to go to California, but she says, no, you'll be better off with me. And so she sent me some money so I could be here. Yeah, I went to school for a few years, but we had to work. My father didn't believe in lazy people. So we had to go to work. And I think that was good, because that taught me what it takes to make $1 and take good care of the money and spend it wisely.
Mi nombre es Vladimir Cinco, soy salvadoreño de nacimiento. Mi nombre es Vladimir Arnold. Nací en la época de la Guerra Fría. El primer nombre es un nombre ruso y el nombre segundo, Arnold, es un nombre inglés. Yo recuerdo mi papá bromeaba con eso y me decía, no hijo, es que te puse los 2 nombres para que no tuvieras problemas ni con un lado ni con el otro, tú al centro siempre. Eso me decía, así bromeaba mi padre conmigo, le decía, me parece muy bien, papá, porque nos dio una infancia alegre, pues, con las dificultades normales de toda familia normal en mi país. Crecimos en un ambiente sí, de mucha violencia probablemente en la época de el recrudecimiento de la guerra en El Salvador, ¿verdad? En la guerra civil. Nos tocó experimentar también la época del asesinato, por ejemplo, de Monseñor Romero, vivir esas experiencias. En esa época yo estudiaba el bachillerato en la capital y eran constantes los enfrentamientos entre las Fuerzas Armadas y las fuerzas que estaban en beligerancia, y fue duro, fue difícil, porque recuerdo que hasta recibíamos clases en el Instituto General Francisco Menéndez, que es donde yo estudiaba el bachillerato. Estudiábamos muchas veces bajo fuego, estaban las balaceras afuera y nosotros adentro recibiendo clases, intervenciones militares en la universidad también me tocó vivir. Mientras estaba estudiando la carrera de Derecho, hubo 2 intervenciones en la universidad, 2 cierres, pero a pesar de todo eso, a pesar de todas esas vicisitudes, siempre contamos con el apoyo de la familia y logramos salir adelante. Una de las experiencias más hermosas que yo he vivido acá en esta comunidad de Northside es el ver cómo en un momento de necesidad por desastre natural, por ejemplo, cómo esta comunidad ha respondido y se ha unido toda para apoyarse unos con otros.
My name is Jose Davalos. I was born on September 18, 1937. I quit school because I didn't want to go to school no more. At that time, your parents didn't make you go to school. So my father said that he would put me to work with him. I said, no, because you work for the railroad, and that's hard work at that time. So I said, I want to go into the Air Force. He said, you're not old enough. So I said, okay. So I forced my birth certificate to 17, okay? And I went up there and I took a test, and being that I didn't go to school, I made a 93, okay? So they told me, said, just have this paper signed, that it's okay. And it was on a Friday. And the next Monday, I left for San Antonio for the Air Force. And been there 16 weeks. And I wanted to be an air police officer, so I signed up for it. I was hoping they wouldn't find out how old I was. But then I went over there, and there 16 weeks, and then I had to wait 4 or 5 weeks before I went to another camp. And then I came home for six days, and they told me, don't open this envelope till the day before you go to where you're going. I said, okay. So I opened it anyway, and I was going to go to San Francisco, and from there I was going to go to Japan. I didn't tell nobody, not even my mother. I know she would have probably killed my father. But that's where my career with the Air Force started. And I had a buddy, and me and him, we go everywhere together because we were patrolling to keep the military safe. And one day they called me in the office. I said, what the heck did I do? I don't remember doing anything wrong. And not even in downtown Japan. So they called me in there, and I said, the captain wants to say, oh, Lord, okay. I went in there, yes, sir, and, introduced myself. He said, sit down. I said, okay. I said, Lord, here it comes. So he said, have some papers. He said, well, we find out that you enlisted when you were 15 years old. I said, but I'm of age now, okay? He said, well, yeah, but, we should investigate it more. And here's a copy of your birth certificate. They could see where I forged it, okay? And anyway, he said, well, I give you 2 choices. I said, okay. I said, you gonna kick me out? He said, no, but I give you 2 choices. And I said, okay, what's the number 1 choice? He said, we're gonna send you back to the United States. I said, okay. And what's my second choice? He said, you have to be here another 1.5 years. Good, that's all right, because I love it over there. And I was in the Air Force almost 4 years. I enjoyed every bit of it because I was a police officer. Nobody messed with me.
My name is Frank Mustascia. That's Italian descent. My father's family came from Sicily. My mother's from southern Italy. And so I like to say to people that I'm half Italian, half mafia. So you better watch where you step. Probably I'm the oldest soul in this neighborhood. And as far as I know, I am at 98. And not really knowing what to expect with an interview, I wrote out some notes to help me to remember. But as I said before, as Mark Twain said, that he had a good memory, but then his memory was so good that he could remember things that never took place. Well, we moved here at this location from a house on Morris Street, and that was in 1933. It was after my father was run down by an automobile and was killed in Galveston. So I've been living here continuously since 1933. That is with the exception of the 4 years I spent in the United States Navy. I finished school at Jeff Davis in 1939. And then at that time, when I got into high school, I was really concerned about my life after I left high school. I could not go to school. I could go to college. But in spite of all that, I decided that I would take, at that time it was called a college course. You had to take certain subjects if you wanted to go to college. About a year and a half later came Second World War. So I volunteered as quick as I could and went into the Navy thinking that I would have that be my life's work. While I was in high school, not knowing, as I said, what was going to happen to me afterwards, I studied shorthand, typing, and bookkeeping, all of which I did very well in, thinking maybe I'd get a job maybe as a court reporter. But as I said, the war came on, and the odd thing about that was because of my background, I had wanted to enter the Navy as an apprentice seaman, which is the lowest rank. But when I went to the recruiting office, they persuaded me to come in as third class petty officer because of what I had learned in high school. So I went into the Navy, third class petty officer at $60 a month rather than the apprentice seaman at $21 a month. And so I spent 4 years in the Navy, and I became rapidly did I advance in a rank, went from third to second to first, and left at chief petty officer. And so that was in 1946. And then as the sisters and brothers got older, they began marrying. All of them married, except me. And I stayed home, and I was telling people because somebody had to take care of my mother. That was part of the idea, but there are other things. And then I went to teaching school, because that was the one thing I wanted to do. When I was in the Navy, I learned about the GI Bill of Rights, and I decided then that I was going to school. So I graduated from there, both with a bachelor's degree and with a master's degree, and was teaching in Galena Park. I wanted to teach in Jeff Davis. I did my practice teaching in Jeff Davis, and that was a big thrill to me to go back to the school from which I had graduated and did my teaching. A friend of mine that I had graduated from college called me one day and said he had just gotten a job teaching the 6th grade in Galena Park. They're looking for young men. And so I remember thinking, down like if I've got to teach in the elementary, I'd find something else to do because I ain't going down there. But then I started thinking about it. Well, I don't have to stay there. I do need a job. So I spent my entire career in that one school. And as far as I know, I'm the only person on this planet that spent his whole career in one school. Going to the Navy may be the biggest thing that ever happened to me. Because when I went in at 21, buried at 21, I was wet behind the ears, so-called. I had never been anywhere out of Houston except Galveston. I knew nothing about anything. And so when I went into Navy and was on the train going to San Diego for boot camp, and I went through the desert and the mountain area, I was absolutely flabbergasted. I've never seen anything like it. And so being in the Navy and the things that happened to me while I was there, all the experiences, I thought had to be the greatest thing that ever happened to me.